Hello, everyone. We P-Diddy-Us a problem. Yes, that's right. I'm going in on it today. I'm talking about P. Diddy and all the madness that's going on surrounding him, being Homeland Security and everything coming in, raiding his homes. We're going to talk about it all from a different perspective today, and we're going to talk about the ish that needs to be said. By the way, I'm Dominic Copeland. This is the ish that needs to be said. Let's go. Make sure if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe, come along with us on this beautiful, wonderful journey. Let me know what you think. Let's build and grow this community together as we strive to make a difference. We P. Diddy-Us a problem. P. Diddy, my friend, what is going on? I'm going to talk about this from a few different perspectives because it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. First, I want everyone to know I don't take other people as heroes as far as, he's not out there saving, P. Diddy's not out there saving lives. Puff Daddy, if you don't know, music producer, artist, so forth. I've been at it since the late 80s, early 90s. Had the Notorious B.I.G., had Bad Boy as a label. So he's been doing this for a while now, making music, producing, so forth, been in movies. So he is kind of the original, Puff Daddy's kind of the original person that a lot of people adapted themselves after. So they saw what he was doing and he inspired them, other rappers, other artists, other even sports figures to get involved in different media to really build up a brand and to go into different directions with that brand. So that's who he is if you don't know, but most of us know who he is, all right? And right now he's being called he's being called the Epstein, not Theo, excuse me Theo, but he's being called the Epstein of hip hop. This is crazy. This is crazy. So I never looked at him as a hero. I never looked at him and said that these guys should be able to do whatever they want, when they want, how they want. That was just never my thing. They're other human beings. And I also understand that ultimate power corrupts ultimately. I don't care who you are. I don't care how good of a heart you have. If you're giving all of the power, it's going to corrupt you at some point. I don't care if your Mother Teresa, when she was still alive, she knew better than to say, let me have ultimate power. Because once you have ultimate power, you've already corrupted yourself. Because if you have ultimate power, you know good enough that this is not how things should work. Other people should have a say. So you'd want to give away that power. You want to acquiesce that power to other decision making. So I can look at her and say, Mother Teresa would say, this is not what I want. This is not in the cards for me. This is not what we should be doing. All right. So when I look at someone like P. Diddy, I think the same thing. No one should be giving ultimate power over other people. And we should not be allowing those people to do whatever the heck they want, because we end up in situations like this, what we see today. So that's one thing from all this that I'm seeing. It's mind blowing how it got to this point. And I'm not sure as a black man if we're at the point that we think we're at. And you say, Don, what does that mean? If we're at the point that we think we're at, the raiding is home. What do you mean? We're there. It's happened. I know that he was going up against some powerful people that he was trying to sue. So I don't know if this is in response to what he was trying to do with them. And they said, you know what? That's not going to happen. Just like we saw with Kanye. Kanye was a little bit different. And I already talked about this before. I don't co-sign some of the things that he was saying. Any anti-Semitism, I don't believe in. But also there's things that people say that aren't anti-Semitic, all right? And people try to make it out to be that. Someone said, I don't know if it's Jamie Foxx or someone else said, they crucified Jesus. What can I expect? That's been a saying for I don't know how long, since I was born. And that saying just means they crucified Jesus, the best of us. And I'm not the best of us. So what can I expect? How can I expect better treatment than what Jesus got? Jesus was the best of us. And Jesus was also called the King of the Jews, right? So if we're saying Jesus, the King of the Jews, was the best of us, we're saying one of the best of us was Jewish. So isn't that given ultimate respect? That's not anti-Semitic. That's just people trying to create the narrative that they want to support the nonsense that they're trying to put out there about other people, trying to get other people, as they quote unquote say, canceled and so forth. So I don't know if that's the situation with him. He messed with the wrong group of individuals. Not that they were Jewish or anything like that, but they power brokers within the industry. He messed with them. They messed back with him. They had more resources to mess back a lot harder than what he could. So now he finds himself in an untenable situation to some degree. And if it is that, then I, as a black man, have to look at the long list of black men that we keep seeing end up in these same situations. Now, I don't know. Again, it's the ish that needs to be said. The other part of that is this. Maybe he was doing all the things that they say he was doing. But because he had those friends, those power brokers, he had protection. Or at least he had protection because of who he was. But once he went against the power brokers, they said, you know what? All those protections are gone. Those friends that you had to the wayside, they're not going to protect you in this. So now we're going to take all your secrets that you were able to hide before, and we're going to put them out there so now they can't be hidden. Or all the secrets that other people who had less power than you were afraid to say or couldn't say, we can say, because you can't do anything to us. You can't touch us. So we're going to say it. So this might be the tale of two Diddies. Either the Puff Daddy that's out there and that we all thought was a good, decent human being doing the right things. And now he's because he messed with power brokers, now he finds himself in a heap load of trouble that's not necessarily true. Or the other Diddy is one who was doing all these things, who is that person that he's being accused of being. But he was just be able to hide it just like other people because of his position, his stature, and the power that he had, and his financial backing. So he was able to hide those things. But now, because he messed with those power brokers, they took away that veil of power, that cloak of invincibility. So that's where my confusion comes in. In this tale of two Diddies, which one are we really looking at? Which one are we really dealing with? Is it the one that we all hope, the first one, or the one that more and more in the media is being painted to be the villain? So, again, not my issue with it. I would say this. Again, I don't go into the fan stuff and everything like that, but it would be heartbreaking to see another black man, a person that had, to some degree, some sort of sway, power, and influence to make a difference for the better, end up in a situation where they just made things worse, where they hurt people, where they did unspeakable things when they were giving people's trust, people's faith, people's belief. To me, that's the worst crime of all, if that's the case. Maybe that's not the worst crime of all. Maybe the worst crime of all is that we, individuals, give those people the power to do what they do. Just because they're good in one aspect, or they make us dance, they make us laugh. Now we give them carte blanche. We give them credence to do whatever the heck they want. And they do whatever the heck they want, and then some. Because if you give someone an inch, as I was always told, give someone an inch, they'll take a yard. Give someone a step, they'll take a foot. Let someone kick you in the behind once, they won't stop kicking until you can't walk anymore. You got to be the one to step in and say enough is enough is enough. And we have to stop empowering these people that haven't earned it, that don't deserve it. Truly, no human being on the planet does deserve that. I don't think Jesus would say, give me all the power on the planet. Jesus would be like, no, the power needs to rest within the hands of the people. And I'm here to be an example. I'm here to be an exemplar. I'm here to be a part of that process, but I need to be checked too. I need to be held accountable because I could get to a degree where I'm corrupted mentally by all the things that I'm allowed to do. Power unchecked, my friends, is one of the worst things ever. Matter of fact, I'll even go this far and say that the devil is just power unchecked. When no one says anything, when no one stands up to say that's not right, when no one speaks out, when no one believes those who do speak out, that, my friends, is a different problem. That, my friends, is a different situation. And that's how we end up P-Diddying a problem. So my concern, my ongoing concern, is that just as we saw with Bill Cosby, we saw with R. Kelly, we're seeing now with P. Diddy, who knows who's going to be next. They're trying to get Jay-Z. They've been trying to get Jay-Z for a while. So many others. Is every black person, every black male, every black man that has some sort of station of importance going to be chopped down and taken out? Are we seeing the end of an era? I know coming out of the pandemic and the whole George Floyd situation, I knew that we would see kickback from that. I just didn't think we would see it at this level. I just didn't think we'd see it at this level. Even when you have someone, the first black woman that was the president of Harvard and was ousted, you're seeing many black people in high-ranking positions being targeted and outed. And people said to me before, when we had all the strife in the streets, we had people marching, they said, maybe this time is different. Don't you think it's different? They didn't even say maybe. They said, don't you think this time is different? I said, I don't think it's different. They said, why not? I said, because throughout all of history, every time we come to these moments, that's the same question that they've always asked. Don't you think this time is different? But yet we're still here right now in the time that we said should be different. But it has not been. And now I fear that it's just even worse. Worse than before. As now all the laws are being changed. And the biggest part of it is, it's not just with Black America, Black Americans. It's happening with all of America and all of Americans. You're all starting to say, as I said before, you're all starting to see how it feels to be black to some degree. To see how it feels to be outside of the system, to see how it feels to be targeted, to see how it feels when your rights can be arbitrarily taken from you, to see how it feels when you feel like your voice does not matter, when you feel like your vote does not matter, when you feel like your hard work and dedication does not matter. And more, you're having more and more taken from you on a daily basis. Am I trying to paint a gloom picture? No, I'm not, my friends. I'm just trying to give us a look into the reality that stands before us. I'm a realist and a pragmatist. So we can act like these things aren't happening. We can say, oh, there's nothing that we can do about it. We can say, oh, me, oh, my. But we P. Diddy is a problem. Okay? And it's bigger than what we think it is. So whatever's going on with P. Diddy, I don't know. If he's the Epstein of hip hop, this is, doing anything with underage girls and all that stuff, that's unforgivable, unspeakable, untenable, must be stopped, must be addressed. But again, I don't know if that's the case or if it's a case of being targeted because of the people that he tried to stand up against. and how severe. I mean, I heard that they had tanks rolling up to his house. Tanks. When they took Epstein, there were no tanks that I can recall. So if you had tanks, you're sending a message. You're sending a strong, clear message. Because unless he had an army waiting there for you, I don't see any reason for tanks. I don't understand what's happening there. And I think we all need to look at the situation from a standpoint of equity and equitable outcomes, meaning, okay, if someone commits these acts, just because of the color of their skin doesn't mean they get treated differently. If it's heinous, it's heinous. Let's go deal with the situation. But don't say, oh, he's black, so now we got to deal with him on a more violent wavelength than what we would of this guy. Because that translates over to everything throughout society. And that's the problem that we've always constantly and continually been facing. Has not changed, hasn't gotten any different. They rode tanks through Compton at one point in our history. Now, through the hood of Compton. Now they're rolling tanks to the vast riches that black Americans have construed. So now we're seeing, at one point, wealth could protect you to a certain degree. Now we're seeing that's no longer the case. Now I always thought as a black American, the one great equalizer that you would have that give you an opportunity to stand at least in the room as others, in the same room as others, was wealth, right? If you have wealth, then they can't just come get you. They can't just come take everything from you as they could without you having wealth. But now we're seeing more and more that's not even the case. Oh, you have wealth, so now that allows us to elevate our response to you so that we can come with even more violence. And it's justified because of now the wealth that you have. Now because of your wealth, you're a greater threat. And that allows us to bring a greater response. Is that where we're going with all of this? And I'm not saying, again, in protection of P. Diddy. I don't know what the true situation is. If he's done those things, he needs to answer for them, period. But again, it should be with the same treatment as everyone else within that same situation. It shouldn't be different because of the color of your skin. Because if they can have that response with him, with someone with that wealth and that reputation, imagine the response for less that they can have for someone like me or you that's an ordinary citizen. Just imagine that. We need to prepare ourselves. We need to get involved. We need to speak up. We need to say something. We need to come together as a society and say, you know what? Some things just don't appear to be right. And let's figure out what's going on here. Because if we don't, I have a fear and a worry and a concern that we're going to find ourselves as Americans living in a country that we don't completely understand and never signed up for and were never agreed to be a part of. There's more and more totalitarian type ethics that are coming in to the mindset of our nation. And at some point, we have to step up, stand up, and say, you know what? That's not who we are. That's not what we're about. We believe in justice, but this is what justice looks like for us here in America. As Americans, this is how we stand up and stand against the tide. This is how we stand up for what's right and what's in the best interest of our country and our democracy. For if democracy is to persist, it can only persist with the willing to save the people. If democracy is to persist, it can only persist with the will and the say of the people. Without the will and the say of the people, my friends, we do not have ourselves a democracy. And we're fast beginning to find that out more and more each and every day. Each and every day. So we have to look at what's happening around us. We have to look at what's happening in our world, in our country. We P-Diddy-Us a problem, and it's beyond what we understand it to be right now. So we got to come together. We got to figure this out. We got to decide, hey, that's not who we are. That's not what we're about. That's not what we're here for. And going forward, this is kind of a microcosm of an even larger problem of what's happening. Like I said, attached to the George Floyd situation. And now we're seeing the retribution coming back for that, for the advances that were made during that time, quote unquote advances. And to such a degree where people are, saying DEI didn't earn it. Didn't earn it, DEI. That's their thought process. They can't see the privilege that other people have been given and still continue to exist within. They can't comprehend that. And because of that, they say, oh, when you're being given an opportunity to be seen for the things that the hard work and dedication you put in to earn something, when you're being given an opportunity to accomplish or to be in the same rooms and fields as other people, oh, you didn't earn it. You were given that. I don't know about you, but for me personally, as a black man, I don't remember a time where I was just given something that I hadn't earned. I was just given something, didn't have to compete for it, didn't have to abide by certain rules and regulations to get it. It didn't have to be 2 to 3 times or more better. Didn't have to build the relationships that were necessary to accomplish it. Didn't have to do the work it took to get it. I just don't recall that. I've earned my stripes in this capo called life several times over and continue to do so on a daily basis. So for anyone to ever say, oh, you didn't earn it, that's atrocious. If I didn't earn it, I don't want it. Because if I didn't earn it, I'll be exposed. I'll be shown to not be good enough, to not be capable, to not be competent. And I work every day and strive to be capable and competent of the things that I accomplish. But there are people who, on the other side, who aren't capable, who aren't competent, and who do get things. And they are not black. So, and we all know that. We all know that to be the truth. From nepotism and everything else, we all know certain people get positions or opportunities that they have not earned. That's the reality of this thing called life. That is the reality of this thing called life. But it's time for us to change this reality. It's time for us to roll our boat gently down the stream. Life is but a dream. And if we are to dream, my friends, let's dream a great dream. A dream of possibility realized. A dream where we all have the opportunity to strive. Where we all have the opportunity to live lives of meaning. We don't have to hate each other over what we believe are a lack of resources. Humanity's been fighting since its inception over lack of resources. Still here we find ourselves today. 7, 8 billion people. There are no lack of resources. There's a lack of resourcefulness, a lack of creativity, a lack of unity, a lack of coming together to create what we need to be, to have all the resources that we could ever have. Instead of living in fear, let's live in not just possibility, but reality. Reality is we as human beings have been given a great gift to be able to create, build, find, resolve, generate the resources that we need for us to be fruitful and bountiful. We just keep failing to understand that. And it's easier to just blame, to fight, and to settle and say it's someone else's fault. No one else's fault. Look in the mirror. Because if we don't come together, if we don't stand tall for what's right, then the only fault that we have, the only place we have to blame is right where we look every day in the morning. My friends, we P-Diddy-Us a problem. Let's come together to do something about it. Let's not let this nonsense be the end story for humanity. Let's come together and do something to change it for the better. We are the ones. This is the time. This is the ish that needs to be said. Hit the like button, subscribe, join me next time. It's Dominic Copeland. I'll be talking to you soon.